The topic for today's session is what are modes, Intel modes, Mica modes, Irish application. So what are modes? A sensor node is also known as mode. Node is a sensor network that is capable of performing some processing, gathering the sensor information and communicating with other connected node in that network. So it is basically consist of low cost and power computers. So the computer monitor is one or more sensor. So sensor may be temperature, light, sound, position, acceleration, vibration, stress, weight, pressure, etc. So your mode is on a node, but not a node is not always a mode. The computer can connect to the outside world with a radio link. Then Intel mode. So it is developed keeping in mind new for R&D objectives. So it is elevated by the CPU performance. It is in the small in size. So it is improved radio between the hardware and software designer. So it is a low power consumption, the reliability. It is to support and collaborate with their wireless sensor research. It is a multi-hub and power aware routing. So in this Intel mode, it is a new sensor node platform. It is motivated by several design goals. So it will increase the CPU performance, improved radio bandwidth and reliability, and the usage of commercial off-shelf component in order to maintain their cost effectiveness. So this Intel mode architecture is based on the ARM port with TinyOS. So this networking and routing layers have been created on the top of the TinyOS is based to provide their underlying with their multi-hop functionality. So this Intel mode is an integrated wireless microcontroller. It will consist of the ARM7 core processor. So Bluetooth radio, its ranges is 900 megahertz. So AM and flash memory are used in that Intel. So various input output operation are used. So in that Intel mode, so hardware features is a high platform integration level, low power operation, small physical size, so modular hardware and software design. So in that Intel mode, modular stackable design is our main board, power supply, sensor board. Then Mica modes. So it has a 4 megahertz 8-bit CPU. It has 128 KB for instruction memory, then 4 KB RAM, 4 mbit flash, SPI interface. It focuses on the hardware acceleration, network programming, 51 pin connector. So this Mica is a second generation Tiny wireless smart sensor. So this TinyOS, so it is a communication and processing. So in that OS we are using for AA AA battery life. It's a small form of the factory. So this Mica is used with that wireless communication to some of this with the light, temperature, acceleration, etc. So the application for this Mica modes is used in that security, surveillance, force protection, environmental monitoring and wireless sensor network. So simple diagram for the Mica sensor mode. So it has a digital I/O and analog I/O and programming. So digital I/O. digital input and output. So digital input allow a microcontroller to detect the logical state, and digital output allow a microcontroller to the output logic state. So for the each digital input and output, so individual configured to one of the three state, so that is input, output high or output low. So next field is analog IO, so that is analog input and output. The signal from the sensor, so that measure the surrounding the nature factors such as temperature, pressure and flow rate, or the analog signals, and most control accelerator is move according to the analog signal. So only the digital signals can handled by the computers. So for this reason, in order to the input with the signals from the sensor using the computer, or to the output signal to the accelerator, it is necessary to have a devices that can bridge with their analog signal and the digital signal will handled by the computers. So then programming lines. So programming lines is the source code. Then transmission power control. So the power control in that wireless network is important to maintain the reliable communications like base station and nodes, and also to maximize their battery life. Then hardware accelerate. So this hardware acceleration is referred to the process by which the application will offload the certain computing task onto the specialized hardware component within the system. For enabling the greater efficiency, then it is possible in the software running on the general purpose CPU alone. So these are the micro sensor modes. And features of this micro modes is a 16x program memory size, so 8x data memory size, so 16x secondary storage, so 5x radio bandwidth, so 6 ADC channels, so same processor performance, so it will allow for the external SRAM, static RAM, so it will provide the sub microsecond RF synchronization, then onboard DC booster. Then Irish, so it is a 2.4 gigahertz modes, so it is a low power wireless sensor network. So the future is that is a deeply embedded with the sensor networks. It's a wireless communication with every node as a router capability. So this 2.4 gigahertz modes are used for enabling the low power wireless sensor network. So this Iris provides the user with a high level functionality integration. It is designed to optimize the addition of their wireless mesh network technologies. So wide varieties of this custom sensing application, it will provide the 3 times improved with the radio ranges and twice the program memory over the previous generation of mica modes. So in this Irish, so the ranges is for 500 meters between their amplification. So IEEE 802.15.4 RF transfer are used. So for their ISM band 2.4 to 2.48 gigahertz. So the direct sequence spread spectrum radio, which is used to do the RF interference, and it will provide the inheritance of the data security. Then application, it is an indoor building monitoring and security. Then video, vibration and others high speed sensor data. So it is a large scale uh, sensor network. Then so this mode is in designing to enable the cutting edge experiment for the research community. So this have an USB programming capabilities. So IEEE 802.15.4 is a compliant with a high data rate radio with integrated antenna with low power MCU. It is an integrated onboard antennas. So the data collection and programming via with a USB interface. So it is our open source operating system. So it is our optional integrated temperature, light and humidity sensor. So these are the simple diagram for this modes. So it have considered with LED, USB serial, reset support, then IEEE 802.15.4, so user button, reset button, TSR photo, like 10 pin express is a simple modes. That's it for today. If you have any queries, you can contact their mail ID which is displayed on your screen. Thank you.